On today's show, the Bucs are back in action on Saturday night and expect to see a lot of the starters in this game. Oh, except for Mike Evans. Let's go. Well, hello and welcome into this edition of the Bucs Report, part of the Bucs Report podcast network. I'm so glad you decided to join me today. As always, this podcast is free and available on all the major platforms. My name is Dan Holney. You can find me on Twitter. It's at DanCaps218. You can find the show online. It's at BucsReport.com. And the best way that you can help grow this show is to subscribe or follow the Bucs Report podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcast. Give it a 5-star rating, leave some comments, and tell your friends. I sure would appreciate it. Today's episode is brought to you by SeatGeek. Take $20 off your first ticket purchase over $50 when you use the promo code MinuteCast at SeatGeek.com. That's the promo code MINUTECAST for $20 off your first ticket purchase. Yes, Bucs tickets at SeatGeek.com. So let's get into it. The latest with the Buccaneers as they had that joint practice today with the Steelers. And what was said is expect to see a lot, if not most, of the starters in the game on Saturday night. That includes Mayfield. That includes most every player that's not injured except for Mike Evans. Injuries are starting to get drawn into focus as they continue to mount. We know that there is an injury to Rachaad White, but what is being said about Antoine Winfield Jr. is it is not as bad as it first appeared. So let's dive into that in segment number 1 of the show, talking about Winfield Jr. update. And let's open it up by talking about a guy that has such a huge impact on this team. And anytime you hear hamstring and all pro in the same sentence, your brain starts thinking the worst. And to be clear here, my mind was starting to think the worst because Antoine Winfield Jr. is a dynamic player. There is no doubt. But with being that over-the-top player, oftentimes for him, it lends itself to being injured, as we remember him being injured before. But it's worth it because when Antoine Winfield Jr. is dialed in, there's not a lot of other guys in the NFL that bring what he has. But there is some reassurance out there. Here's the thing. This one is not setting off alarms at $1 place. The word is tightness, not pull, not tear, nothing major. The team is being very careful, and you love to hear that. I love to hear that because there's a lot of hope. And I think that the Buccaneers right now, and I know I'm a bit of a homer here, that I'm just a big fan of the Buccaneers and they can do no wrong. I still think they are an early favorite to win the NFC South. And I think that's kind of on a lock unless something major goes off the rails. But I think that, of course, they're going to play that much better with guys like Antoine Winfield Jr. in the mix. And the one thing that we know about him is that he's a baller. He's a competitor. If this was a playoff game, he'd probably tape it up and go in the game. But it's August, and there's no time. There's no reason for him to go out there and be a hero. What these games are about right now is assessing talent. What players on this roster are a part of the bigger picture and which players are not. So that's how we need to view these games ultimately, as assessment more than wins and losses. And of course, winning is the good thing, of course, even if it's the preseason. But I think that it's important to kind of remind ourselves that that is not what is most important here. And, a lot of times with these soft tissue injuries, the key isn't whether they can play now. It's making sure they don't turn into something worse down the road. And that is ultimately what I'm talking about here, is that we know or there's pretty good reason to believe that he could join the Buccaneers in another preseason game here, or at a minimum, be ready to go in the first game of the regular season. So I'm actually happy that they're pumping the brakes here. That I think that and I watched some of these preseason games, and they're like, yeah, they're playing a lot of starters in game one, and I'm like, well, what are you doing here? I think it's important to get these guys reps in, right? I think that for most of them, especially, Levante David, how much does it take for him to get worked up into the game shape at this point? Baker Mayfield. And I know that those players are most likely going to be playing in game number 2 against the Steelers. Of course, that being said, I think it's going to be, at least at the QB position, in a lot of the other positions as well, in a limited capacity. But, you take a look at it. If you're a young safety trying to make the roster, that's a big thing. This is a good chance to see what you have in the tank. This is your window to get first team reps. Probably something that would not have been the case if Winfield Jr. was good to go. The preseason isn't just about resting stars. It's seeing who the next man up is. And as we take a look around the organization, we already see that, don't we? That they have their eyes fixed to the future, especially at the wide receiver position and, to a certain extent at the running back position. That the thing I like about the Glazers, that I like about Jason Light, is they are not too caught up in the current times. They want a winning product, of course, but they also have their eyes lifted up to the horizon a little bit to see what is this team going to look like in the post Godwin and Evans era. So it is a good opportunity to see what kind of young talent this team has in the tank. But bottom line is, no panic, Bucs Nation. Winfield's fine. This is just smart football management. And like I said, there is no reason to rush this guy along. I think that he will be good to go by game number 1. The other big news in this, and I'm quite excited about it. Why are you excited about it? It's a backup quarterback, probably won't even play. Is just get a good look at Teddy Bridgewater is trending up. The word was that it depended how he played on Thursday. And what I had heard is that he will most likely go into the game after Baker Mayfield. So that is exciting. Again, I don't think that Baker will be out there for too long, and Lord knows he shouldn't be out there hardly at all, because he is a competitor, and he doesn't adhere to that this is the preseason. It doesn't matter. The guy's a competitor. He wants to win. But it'll be a good opportunity to see Teddy Bridgewater and, Kyle Trask. It is an interesting quarterback room for the Buccaneers right now. As you take a look at a guy like Kyle Trask that is just so hungry about getting his opportunity. And he said in an interview, he said, I'm not fighting for the number 2 job. I'm fighting for the number 1 job. That, that something that's going to happen? Probably not, but you love the fight. You love the spirit of a Kyle Trask that, if something does happen to Baker Mayfield, that he is going to be the guy to go in, but he's fighting and he's looking at it that I'm not fighting for the number 2 job. I'm fighting to be the number 1. I think in that case, it's all about mindset. But let's take it back to Teddy Bridgewater. I can kind of pontificate and go into the weeds about the quarterback position, but Teddy Bridgewater, a guy that has been around the league a long time, familiar with quite a few different Buccaneers, and his experience, his ability to play mentor for a guy like Kyle Trask. And, he's going to be the guy that ostensibly is going to help prepare Baker Mayfield. And he can reach out to Baker or Baker Mayfield can reach out to Teddy Bridgewater rather and say, hey, what are you seeing here? What are you seeing there? And with Bridgewater, he has that experience. He has a lot of miles on his NFL odometer. The things that Kyle Trask doesn't have, and not to, say that as a pejorative against Kyle Trask, but it's just the way that it is. But that's the big news. Let's talk Teddy Bridgewater. Good day of practice today. Look smooth, look comfortable. The timing with the receivers, it's getting there. I had a chance to peek at some of the footage, as of course, I'm not able to attend these practices, but what I saw looked really well. And here's what I like. He's not forcing it. He's playing like a veteran. You can tell this isn't his first NFL locker room. And, that's the thing that what we saw from Kyle Trask in the first preseason game is he was really dialed in. He looked really good, but you can, and there, to be clear here, there wasn't a lot that, he looked off. I think he's hungry, but you can see the steady hand of Teddy Bridgewater that you can tell. I've been there. I've done that. And Coach Todd Bowles said it twice. He said, quote, he knows how to run an offense, unquote. And when Bowles repeats something, it's legit. And, history is a big thing, right? As we know that Teddy Bridgewater has some history with Todd Bowles as well, can kind of vouch for him, if you will, that is exciting. Now, Bowles also said he's going to wait until after Thursday's practice. He didn't say anything before joint practice with the Steelers before deciding if Teddy plays Saturday. That's smart because this week the joint practice is more about the preseason game. However, what we found out after said practice was that expect to see him get some reps in. How much? I guess we don't know. It's too early to say. I guess it depends on how quickly the Bucs score, just the lay of the land. I wouldn't want to put any of these guys in tremendous peril, especially Baker, of course, hint, hint. So it'll be interesting to see what he has. And listen, for a guy like Teddy, it's not about proving he can play. It's about proving he can execute this offense with these guys. And ultimately, it's the NFL, but each team is different playbooks. But the thing that he has in his tool set is he has played on a lot of different teams in the NFL and played in some high leverage situations. Think Teddy, when he was the QB for the Lions, that he was put in under, albeit brief moment, to step in and play a big role, that this guy can answer the bell on the biggest stages. And that's where these controlled practice situations matter. You get more reps, more looks, and you can test things without the game day chaos. Plus, with Baker locked in as QB1, Teddy's job is about being ready if needed, ready to step in without the offense missing a beat. And from what I'm seeing, he's getting there. He's checking a lot of the boxes for me, Bucs fans. I think that, it's hard to get hyped for a backup quarterback, but I think that he has the raw skills in his skill set. All right, so coming up here after the break, we'll talk about the running back room and Sports Illustrated Big Bucs prediction. I'll discuss straight ahead. Today's episode of the Bucs Report is brought to you by SeatGeek. Are you heading to a Bucs game this season, or maybe the Rays, Lightning, heck, maybe even a concert in Tampa? Make your life easier with SeatGeek, the only ticket app that rates every deal, so you know you're getting the best bang for your buck. And right now, SeatGeek is giving Bucs Report listeners $20 off your first ticket purchase over 50. Listen, you're going to go to a Bucs game. Why not take $20 off? In these times, saving any money that you possibly can, do it. So just download the SeatGeek app or visit the link in the show notes and use the promo code MINUTECAST. That's the promo code MINUTECAST for $20 off. Your seat starts here. All right, welcome back into this edition of the Bucs Report, part of the Bucs Report Podcast Network. The best way that you can help grow this show is to subscribe or follow the Bucs Report on YouTube. Leave some comments, subscribe, follow, 5-star rating, all of those things. Tell your friends. Let's blow this thing up. Let's get over 1,000 subs. Let's go. So let's dive into the next segment here, and we're talking about different positions and how things are setting up for the Buccaneers as we ready ourselves for game number 2 of the preseason. And we're talking the running back room here. And a quick stop in running back room. Rachaad White is day to day with a groin injury, not practicing right now. Not ideal, but the one thing that we know for the Bucs is they are set up well at that position. As we know, Bucky is going to be RB1, that there is not that big of concern. And groins are tricky. It's hard to throw a dart at the wall and say it's going to be 2 weeks, it's going to be a month, it's going to be whatever the case. You can feel fine walking a room, but as soon as you burst or cut, that's when you feel it. So Sit him, no reason to risk it. Owen Wright sore after Saturday's game. He's back to work. That's good. Shows it was a short-term thing. And let's be honest, this is where the depth gets tested early. We always say next man up, but this preseason is where you find out the next man up is. And, sometimes it can totally derail your season, right? That, and I hearken back and I think to, that just the Jensen thing still to me is one of the things that stands out that really took the Bucks off the rails years ago. That, all of a sudden that they were scrambling to find a Band-Aid center for this team. I think the Buccaneers are in a better position right now. They have some pretty good depth, and we're getting some good looks at some players in some different positions. And the saving grace of the running back room, of course, is Sean Tucker. And to be clear here, 100% confident. I have zero concerns. If we started game one of the regular season right now with Bucky being number one and Tucker being number two, Rachaad White is good, but he's still missing the it factor, those explosive bursts of speed to cut through the gap like that. I think that, of course, that is how Bucky Irving supplanted him. And I think that Sean Tucker is going to make it interesting in the long term for the Buccaneers in the running back room. Sean Tucker could be, I'm going to go ahead and say it, I think he could be an RB1 for some teams around the NFL right now. I really think that's the case. Worst case scenario, I think that he could be RB2 on any other team. He's got the skills, and I was most impressed. So the Buccaneers have an embarrassment of wealth, I guess you could say, at the running back position. And that's the thing. Some quietly build some depth at that RB room. If White misses more time, you might see Bucky Irving or Sean Tucker get more touches and show something. Again, really set up really well. We'll keep an eye on it, but for right now, it's just normal August injury list stuff here, folks. So next, let's talk about Sports Illustrated Big Bucks prediction. There is always so much hate thrown around. Now, the next one here, Bucks fans, you might want to sit down. Sports Illustrated predicted the Bucks will go 12-5, win the NFC South, and finish as the number one seed in the NFC. No, you didn't mishear me. The number one seed. Did you think I was going to go into the negative waters? It felt like it when I started reading it at first. This is from Connor Orr, the same writer who 2 years ago predicted we'd win 2 games, and Jason Light, our new GM, never let him forget it. Now Orr's got us upsetting Philly, Detroit, and Buffalo this season. So no more more shade cast in the Bucks direction that, he sees the lay of the land. And I was watching the aftermath, our friends over on the Bucks Report Network there as well. And they were talking about, I think that the guys on the show had someone talking smack about Mike Evans, that he's not an elite wide receiver in there. And, they were making light of the situation, like, what do you know? What does this guy have to do to get the accolades that a lot of the other guys get? So it's kind of par for the course for the Buccaneers. But in this case, Sports Illustrated predicting the Bucks go 12 wins, 5 losses, win the NFC South, and finish as the number one seed in the NFC. Truly, these must be the end days. Armageddon is upon us. To a certain extent, I almost like it when the Buccaneers are viewed as the underdog, right? That I think that this team plays that much better with a chip on its shoulder. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out. You know what? Last year, this wasn't far from the truth. The team was scrappy. They could go toe-to-toe with anyone when healthy. And it's all things. This team gets criticized from the head coach down all the way down. But listen, Todd Bowles, all he continues to do, despite the questions about clock management, despite, going for it for first down, these kind of things, that the results prove themselves, winning the NFC South. Now, I'm not ready to carve NFC number one seed into the trophy case just yet, but it's nice to see the national media showing some love instead of writing us off. And here, I hear that the Buccaneers, I think, just winning, year after year, that it's hard to dismiss them right? That you can't keep saying they're a poor team when they continue to do some great things. All right, so coming up here after the break here, we'll talk about Baker Mayfield Tier 2 ranking. I'll discuss straight ahead. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends at Righteous Felon Beef Jerky. And listen, I don't accept all sponsorships for this show. And I was a bit skeptical on beef jerky. I mean, what is there to get excited about? I'm here to tell you, absolutely delicious. A go-to snack, high protein. When you're going on your lunch break and you're reaching for a donut, slap your hands. Don't do it. Reach for some delicious Righteous Felon Beef Jerky. And if you're on the hunt for a delicious high-protein snack, look no further than Righteous Felon. This family-owned brand is all about premium pasture-raised Black Angus beef, hormone and antibiotic-free with mouth-watering flavors like OG hickory and 10 grams of protein per serving. You'll get the boost you need for all your adventures. Plus, they have keto-friendly and gluten-free options, and they support sustainability with the Conservation Alliance. Are you ready to snack smarter? You should be. Use promo code MINUTECAST. That's promo code MINUTECAST for 15% off your order. Head over to righteousfelon.com or follow the link in the show notes and grab your new favorite snack today. All right, welcome back into this edition of the Bucs Report, part of the Bucs Report podcast network. The best way that you can help put a couple extra pennies in the tip jar of this show is to listen to this show on the Spreaker app, available to you from iHeartRadio and Spreaker. But of course, this podcast is available on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcasts. All right, so let's dive into the final segment of the show and talking quarterbacks. I love talking quarterbacks. And why is that? Well, the Buccaneers have a good quarterback, Baker Mayfield. And let's get into Baker Mayfield because he is climbing the charts. The Athletics QB ranking, he's tier 2 now, number 11 overall. That's the best of his career. Let the good times keep rolling for Baker and the Bucs, the guy who's been through 3 offensive coordinators in 3 years here. That's tough on any QB, but instead of regressing, he's improved. Why? Kind of like Teddy. He's been there. He's done that. He's played on a lot of different teams. He knows how to mix things up. And you're talking about the 2 previous offensive coordinators there. Who are they? Well, they're head coaches of NFL teams now. So the proof is there that they know how to develop and select great coaches for your favorite team. The Bucs, one coach called him, quote, a contained wild man, unquote, now. And I love that. It's like Baker still got the spark, but he knows how to use it without burning the house down. And I think, the thing of it is, it's the thing I've always said about him. He needs to, he needs to step back from the happy feet. I know that he's the guy that if there's not a man open, he's going to run for the first down. And I don't want to ever, take that out of his game. However, running all the time in risky situations is detrimental to him. It's detrimental to the team. So sometimes I think it's best that, kind of just Brady-esque, sit in the pocket, wait for good things to happen. If not, throw it away. You can always lose the game or 2, but you don't want to lose the season. And Baker Mayfield goes down. I'm here to tell you it's not going to be easy sledding for this team. And when execs are comparing you to Brock Purdy, but saying you've got more playmaking ability, that's huge. Isn't it interesting? It was a couple weeks ago doing this show, the Bucs Minutecast, the other show that I do, talking about this team receives no love. That it's interesting that the critics and some of the people are starting to, change their ideas about this team. And you can tell the offense has been tailored to him, more throws outside, more sight lines, plays that fit his style. If tier 2 is starting a point this year, I'm excited to see where he ends up. Where do we think? I think playoffs. I mean, I guess I'm not going to etch their name in winning the Super Bowl this year. But what I am going to say is I think they are going to make a valiant effort. And playoffs are bust. I think that if this team, and I don't know how it's possible, but I'm just saying, if my bar for them at a minimum is making it to the playoffs, but making a deep push, I think, is where it's at here. So in the final part here, we're going to talk about joint practice with the Steelers, and these always get chippy. And always kind of fun, to see these teams lock horns. And closing out Thursday's joint practice 2-point drill, first team offense goes 3 for 4. Mayfield was sharp. Bucky Irving, Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan all made plays. Only Jalen Ramsey kept it from being a perfect 4 for 4. All things going. This team, put them out on the field. I think they're ready for game one. Again, at this point, it's just about assessment. Then 2-minute drill to finish the practice. Mayfield drives the field, hits Evans in traffic for the score. Classic, book it. And the defense, they stop the Steelers cold in their 2-minute drill. That is how you end a practice. And that's how you know that this team is, playing like a well-oiled machine. Like I've said, in certain regards, I think that this team is even better than when Brady was at the helm. They respect the heck out of Baker Mayfield. And like the players themselves said, it's like playing for your big brother, not playing for your dad. And that's the kind of situational football you need in August. The talent's there, the execution's there. Now it's about stacking days like this until week 1. Bucs fans, let's get hyped. This team is playing so well right now. And, I think that in a lot of ways, it's only going to get better from here. And it's about, hoping that a lot of these players that are dinged up are going to be good to go, and I think that it was the right idea not to rush Antoine Winfield Jr. and just know, like I said, that they're going to get an opportunity to assess the other players on the team. And the same thing goes for Rachaad White. I think that, when you see it's Tucker, when you see it's Bucky Irving there, that's something to build on. And, like I said earlier, I have no problems whatsoever going into next season if that was the case. If it was Bucky Irving and it was Tucker as a 1-2 combo, I like that a whole lot. But big picture here, I like how the critics that are coming around on this team. Oftentimes you hear nothing but negativity about the Bucs, that they got lucky years ago to win one, and the only reason they won one in 2020 is because Tom Brady was here. That despite what happens, that this team doesn't get the love. It seems like times have changed, doesn't it? That they are more in favor with the critics. Because why? I think, of course, the critics are tired of being wrong. They're tired of looking at the Buccaneers organization and saying this team is going to go nowhere, because all they do is continue to prove the critics wrong year after year. A lot of questions about this team. It's going to be interesting to see Godwin. And as a matter of fact, when he's going to be ready to go, it's also going to be interesting to see Mike Evans. Can he stay healthy for a season? There's been rumblings out there that potentially this could be his final season. Is that going to be the case? But like I said earlier in the show, the thing I like about the Bucs is they have their eyes set for the future. Jalen McMillan, Emeka Egbuka, these kind of guys like that, those are going to be your future faces. Not to mention the players that they're going to draft between now and then. This team is stacked. Team is prepared for the future. There is a lot to be excited for with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, once again, I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of the Bucs Report, part of the Bucs Report podcast. Yet again, check me out on the Bucs Minute Cast. As I have a shorter, about 15-minute update about your favorite team in mind, the Buccaneers, all that's going on with the team. Again, follow, like, subscribe this on YouTube, also on Apple, Spotify, the 5-star rating. Tell your friends. Let's try to get this podcast as big as we possibly can. And let's try to get the Bucs Report YouTube page over 1,000 subs. I think that if you're watching this, wherever you're watching this, go over to the Bucs Report page and hit that subscribe button. It'll really help out the channel big time. All right, once again, I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of the Bucs Report, brought to you by SeatGeek. Take $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code MinuteCast. Thank you, and I'll talk to you guys again next time.